Imagine, you spend your entire life climbing this massive, imposing ladder. Like you put in decades of grueling effort.
Oh, yeah, the classic grind.
Exactly. You sweat through every single rung. You sacrifice your weekends, your health, your peace of mind. And then you finally reach the very top.
Right.
You pull yourself over the edge,
Yeah.
and you look around only to realize something horrifying.
Mm.
Your ladder was leaning against the absolute wrong wall.
It is a terrifying realization. I mean, it really is. And yet it's the exact reality for so many people who just, chase the conventional societal definition of success.
Yeah.
We get the money, we get the title, but we completely lose ourselves in the process.
We really do. So today on the Deep Dive, we're taking your requested sources, which is a synthesis of ideas from tech founder and philosopher Naval Ravikant, specifically from the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, to figure out how to make sure your ladder is actually on the right wall.
Which is such a crucial exercise.
It is. So our mission today is twofold. First, we're going to unpack a highly specific physics and economics-based framework for getting wealthy deterministically.
Which essentially means building wealth without relying on luck.
Right, without luck. And then, crucially, we're going to explore why that wealth won't automatically make you happy.
Yeah, that's the big twist.
It is. We'll look at how you actually have to build the skill of happiness from the ground up, just like you would build a business.
It is a fascinating duality because his foundational premise is that, making money is not just an action you go out and do.
Right.
It's a skill that you learn. But before anyone can actually learn that skill, they have to completely tear down society's deeply flawed definitions of what they are even chasing in the first place.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Naval makes a really hard distinction between wealth, money, and status.
Yeah, three very different things.
Right. But we tend to use those words interchangeably in everyday conversation. But in this framework, conflating them is the first big trap.
We constantly mix them up, but they are entirely different mechanisms. So let's start with wealth, because wealth is the actual goal here.
Yeah, okay.
Wealth is having assets that earn while you sleep.
So like the factory or the robots.
Exactly. The computer program running at night or the real estate generating rent, it is completely independent of your active labor.
Got it.
Money, on the other hand, is just how we transfer time and wealth. It is essentially a social IOU.
An IOU.
Yeah. Society is basically saying, hey, you provided value in the past, so here is a credit you can use in the future.
Right. So money is just the paper or the digits in a bank account reflecting that value.
Precisely. It's not the wealth itself.
Okay, and then there's status, which he views as something to actively avoid.
Oh, absolutely. Status is a zero-sum game. It's all about your place in the social hierarchy, and it's evolutionary, meaning for you to move up, someone else literally has to move down. It's a ranking system.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds exhausting.
It is. And what's fascinating here is that the people who publicly attack wealth creation are usually just playing a massive status game themselves.
Wait, really? How does that work?
Well, they gain moral status in the eyes of their peers by putting down those who are playing the wealth creation game. It's a way of elevating themselves without having to actually build anything of value.
Oh, wow. They pull others down to raise themselves up.
Exactly.
So if wealth, like actually owning assets, is the true goal, there's a brutal logic that follows here, which is you are never, ever going to get rich renting out your time.
No, you just can't.
You must own equity. You have to own a piece of a business to gain financial freedom. I was thinking it's like the difference between renting an apartment and owning a house, but applied to your time.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right. Like when you rent your time as a salaried employee, even if you are a highly paid doctor or a corporate lawyer, you're basically just building someone else's equity.
You're paying their mortgage.
Exactly. The moment you leave the job, you get nothing. But when you own equity, the house appreciates while you're sleeping.
Yeah, because without ownership, your inputs are far too closely tied to your outputs.
Right.
You only get paid when you are physically working, which means your earning potential is hard capped by the 24 hours in a day.
You can't cheat time.
You really can. So to break out of that trap, Naval suggests setting an absurdly high aspirational hourly rate for yourself.
I read this part. Didn't he use like $5,000 an hour?
He did, long before he was actually a wealthy tech founder.
That is just insane. $5,000 an hour.
It sounds crazy, but the psychology behind that is what makes it work. I mean, if you genuinely value your time at $5,000 an hour, it forces your brain to stop micromanaging.
Right, you stop trading hours for pennies.
Exactly. If a task saves you less than your hourly rate, like, say, spending an hour driving across town to save 20 bucks on a sweater, you just don't do it.
You just let the 20 bucks go.
Yeah. And if outsourcing a tedious task costs less than your hourly rate, you outsource it. You have to start valuing your time at a premium before the market ever will. Otherwise, you'll constantly give it away for free.
It's like a forcing function.
That's exactly what it is, a forcing function for leverage. Because if you can't afford to do low-value tasks, you are forced to figure out how to multiply your time.
Which brings us to the actual engine of wealth. So if renting our time doesn't work, the framework argues that wealth requires combining two distinct elements.
Right, the inputs.
Yeah, your unique obsessions and a mechanism to multiply them. And the unique part is what he calls specific knowledge.
Specific knowledge is so key here. It's knowledge you simply cannot be trained for.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, it is the stuff that is completely authentic to your DNA, your unique upbringing, and your, weird
The
obsessions.
things you just naturally gravitate toward.
Right, because the underlying logic here is that if society can train you to do something in a classroom, it can eventually train someone else to do it.
And then you're replaceable.
Exactly. And if someone else can do it, you can be replaced. Eventually, society can just program a computer to replace you entirely.
Wow. So you find this specific knowledge just by following your genuine curiosity.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that feels like play to you, but looks like hard work to everyone else.
That is the perfect test for it. If it feels like work, it's not specific knowledge.
Right. But specific knowledge on its own isn't enough, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have unique hobbies, but they are wealthy. You need the multiplier. You need leverage.
You definitely need the leverage, and this is where the framework gets incredibly tactical.
Okay.
There are three distinct classes of leverage. The first is labor, which is just having other humans work for you.
The classic boss model.
Right. This is the oldest form. It's what impresses your parents if you say you manage 50 people, but it is incredibly messy.
Oh, I bet.
Managing human beings is difficult, and you are always one hop away from a mutiny or a management crisis.
It's definitely the most exhausting form of leverage.
For sure. So the second class is capital, which is just using money to multiply your decisions.
Okay, so like investing.
Exactly. This was the dominant leverage of the 20th century. Think of the Warren Buffetts of the world.
Right.
It scales beautifully because money doesn't complain or need sleep. But it has a massive catch. It is a form of permissioned leverage.
Permissioned leverage, meaning you have to ask for it.
Yeah, someone has to agree to give you their money to manage or invest. You need approval. A bank has to say yes.
Ah, I see. Which brings us to the holy grail of the modern age. The third class of leverage. Products with no marginal cost of replication.
Yes, code and media.
Because code and media are entirely permissionless.
Exactly.
You don't need anyone's permission to write a book or record a podcast or code an app. You don't need a gatekeeper to say yes.
And that is a fundamental shift in human history.
It really is. I mean, this is the leverage behind the newly rich. When you look at people like Joe Rogan or PewDiePie or indie app developers, they are using this permissionless leverage.
They are.
You essentially have an army of robots freely available to you, packed in data centers, just waiting to work for you while you sleep.
That's a great visual.
Right. You record something once, and it can be consumed by 10 million people at absolutely no extra cost to you.
It completely decouples your time from your income. But I want to go back to the idea of specific knowledge for a second.
Sure.
Because when you combine it with this permissionless leverage, something fascinating happens. You escape competition entirely.
Wait, really? How?
Because no one can compete with you on being you.
Wait, I have to push back here for a second, because the idea of just being you sounds a bit like generic self-help.
I know it does, but hear me out.
Okay, but what if someone's specific knowledge is something that seems totally, completely unmonetizable?
Give me an example.
Like, what if my specific knowledge is just playing video games all day or obsessively gossiping with my friends?
Yeah.
How is a data center of robots going to turn that into wealth?
That is a great question. And the framework actually addresses those exact, seemingly trivial examples.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it's not about just broadcasting the raw activity. It's about extracting the underlying mechanism.
Okay, what does that mean?
So if your specific knowledge is playing video games, you are developing a deep, intuitive mastery of game theory, resource management, and risk-reward loops.
Huh.
Right. So you apply that to building software or designing economic models.
Oh, I see.
And if you are obsessively digging into your friend network and gossiping, that innate skill translates to being an incredible investigative journalist or a network analyst.
That makes so much sense.
It is all about finding the underlying mechanics of your obsession and applying it to what society wants but doesn't yet know how to get.
Okay, so you take this authentic, specific knowledge, you apply massive, permissionless, leverage-like code or media, and the force of your actions is suddenly multiplied 1,000 times over.
1,000 times, easily.
But that introduces a terrifying new variable.
Yeah.
Because if your actions are multiplied 1,000 times, then working hard suddenly matters a whole lot less than making absolutely sure you're pointed in the exact right direction.
Yes, direction over speed. Because in an age of infinite leverage, judgment is the most underrated skill.
Judgment.
Yeah. When you have an army of robots executing your commands, being right 85% of the time instead of 75% of the time isn't just a minor improvement. It is worth hundreds of millions of dollars over a lifetime.
I was thinking about this, like, if you're steering a little wooden rowboat and you're degree off course,
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter. You just row a bit harder on the left side to fix it. Hard work solves the problem.
Right, you just muscle through it.
Exactly. But if you're steering a massive 100,000-ton cargo ship,
Which is what leverage is.
exactly, being 1 degree off course means you end up on the wrong continent.
Yeah, your judgment is the steering wheel.
Right. So to build that kind of world-class steering wheel, Naval insists you must be a clear thinker.
Clear thinkers are so rare, though. They don't memorize advanced, complex concepts just to sound smart at dinner parties.
No, they don't.
They understand the absolute basics from the ground up. They stick to foundational sciences like math, microeconomics, evolutionary biology, game theory.
And the reason he emphasizes those specific fields is because they make falsifiable predictions.
Falsifiable predictions, yes.
Meaning you can actually design a test to prove a theory wrong. And if it fails the test, you discard it.
Exactly.
Things like macroeconomics are often avoided by clear thinkers because you can't run 2 different experiments on the U.S. economy at the same time to prove a theory wrong. It's just too muddy.
It is. Clear thinkers rely on rock-solid principles, not just memory. And once you apply that clear judgment over time, you tap into the ultimate force multiplier,
Which is...
compound interest.
But we usually only talk about compound interest with money in a savings account.
Right, but this framework applies it to literally everything in life. Your reputation compounds, your relationships compound, your knowledge compounds.
That's powerful.
It is. The reality is 99% of your effort in life is probably wasted. The classes you took but never used, the people you dated but didn't marry, the books you read but forgot.
Right.
But when you find that 1% that actually works, you go all in and you never stop, so you can earn that compound interest.
And to help you make those critical decisions on what to go all in on, there are a few heuristics provided in the text. One that really stands out is the run-uphill rule.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. If you are facing 2 relatively equal choices, he says you should take the path that is more difficult and painful in the short term.
And the underlying biology here is key to understanding why.
Okay, lay it out.
Our brains are hardwired by evolution to avoid short-term pain, even if it leads to long-term gain. We want the dopamine right now.
Right, our brains are basically lazy.
Exactly. So when faced with 2 equal options, your brain will subconsciously trick you into taking the easier path, rationalizing it all the way down.
So by choosing the harder path, the uphill path, you are actively canceling out that subconscious bias.
You're outsmarting your own brain.
Wow. And for the really massive life choices, like what city to live in, who to marry, what career to pursue, the rule is even more brutal. If you cannot decide, the answer is no.
Period. Just no.
Because we are biologically not built to comprehend how many options we have in a globally connected world.
Yeah.
A yes locks you in for years, sometimes decades.
It does.
So you must protect your time, which means saying no to almost everything until you are absolutely certain.
What's fascinating here is how Naval explains the mechanics of actually seeing reality clearly enough to make those decisions. Because to have perfect judgment, you must actively shed your identity and your ego.
Shed your ego. How?
Well, the biggest thing clouding our judgment is our desire for how we wish the world to be.
Oh.
Right? A founder wishes their product is amazing, so they just ignore negative user feedback. What we wish to be true completely clouds our perception of what is true.
That is so true.
And suffering, in this context, is simply the moment we can no longer deny reality. The smaller you can make your ego, the easier it is to see the truth.
So we've established how to build massive wealth through specific knowledge and leverage, and how to steer it with clear judgment. But this creates a paradox that we see all the time.
The unhappy billionaire paradox.
Exactly. Why are so many of these highly leveraged, incredibly wealthy tech founders absolutely miserable?
Because the person you had to become to get rich, that high stress, anxious, competitive, always on machine, cannot just be turned off. Success won't earn you happiness.
It is the ultimate bait and switch of the human condition.
It really is. We are sold this fundamental delusion that believing something outside of ourselves will make us happy forever.
Like, once I get the house, once I get the company, then I'll finally relax.
Exactly. But he redefines happiness entirely. He doesn't define it as joy or as having positive thoughts.
Wait, not positive thought.
No, because every positive thought inherently contains the seed of a negative one.
Okay, I see.
You can't call a day beautiful without acknowledging that some days are ugly. Instead, he defines happiness simply as peace. Yeah, happiness is what is there when you remove the sense that something is missing in your life.
So it's the baseline state. When you aren't yearning for anything, peace is what's left over.
Yes. And the mechanism that constantly rips us away from that baseline state is desire. He has this chilling definition of desire.
Oh, I know the one.
Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because I read that and immediately wanted to push back.
Naturally.
Like, if every desire is a chosen unhappiness, a contract to suffer, shouldn't we just strive to desire absolutely nothing at all? Just sit under a tree and meditate for the rest of our lives.
Right.
But if we do that, how do we ever achieve anything great? How do you build a business or start a family or cure a disease without desire?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the text actually agrees with your pushback.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. You shouldn't try to eliminate all desires. As a living biological creature, you are meant to do things. The scientific phrasing he uses is that you are meant to locally reverse entropy.
Right. Entropy being the natural tendency of the universe to move toward chaos and disorder.
Exactly.
So reversing it means we are built to bring order to chaos, to build structures, to solve problems. We're meant to act.
Precisely. So the trick is not to have zero desires. The trick is to pick exactly one big desire in your life at any given time.
Just one.
Just one. You give yourself a singular purpose and you actively let the rest go.
Yeah.
You look at that one desire and you accept, okay, this is my chosen axis of suffering.
Wow.
You are choosing the one area where you will be unhappy until you achieve it, rather than being unhappy about 100 different things simultaneously.
That drastically changes how you prioritize your life.
There has to.
Because otherwise you end up a victim of the paradox of age.
Oh, the age paradox. Let's talk about that.
Right, like when you're young, you have time and health, but no money. When you're middle-aged, you have money and health, but you have absolutely no time.
None at all.
And when you're old, you finally have the money and the time, but your health is gone. You spend your whole life chasing the missing piece, signing 100 different contracts of unhappiness, and never just exist in the peace of the present.
Which naturally brings us to the mechanics of actually practicing this piece. Because if happiness is a learned skill, how do we practice it in the daily grind?
The answer is radical responsibility. Naval bluntly states, doctors won't make you healthy, teachers won't make you smart, gurus won't make you calm.
You have to save yourself.
You really do. And saving yourself starts with a physical vessel. Health has to be priority number one. Above your happiness, above your family, above your work.
Because if your body fails, nothing else matters.
Exactly. The notes emphasize that a daily morning workout is a non-negotiable habit. Like, if the world is ending, it can wait 30 minutes until the workout is done.
That's hardcore, but true.
And then there is the nutritional side, which is notoriously confusing.
Yeah.
But the framework boils it down to the biological interplay of fat and sugar.
The biology here is so crucial to understand because dietary fat actually drives satiety.
Meaning it makes you feel full.
Right. It triggers the stretch receptors and hormones in your stomach to tell your brain, hey, I'm full, stop eating.
Okay.
Sugar, on the other hand, completely bypasses that system. From an evolutionary standpoint, sugar was incredibly rare.
Right. Maybe some fruit in the late summer.
Exactly. So when our ancestors found it, the biological response was to eat as much as possible to store fat for the winter. Sugar acts as a biological false alarm, driving massive hunger.
So the problem is when you combine them, like in a donut or a piece of cake, the sugar effect always dominates the fat effect.
Always.
The satiety signals get overridden, causing us to binge. So the overarching heuristic for diet is incredibly simple.
Hmm.
The more processed the food, the less you should consume it.
It makes sense.
If bacteria won't even eat a loaf of commercial bread because it can sit on a shelf for months without going bad, neither should you.
It's really about stripping away the artificial interventions. And that philosophy of stripping things down applies to our mental health, too.
How so?
Well, in any situation in life, you only ever have three options. You can change it, you can accept it, or you can leave it. That's it. Change, accept, leave.
This is where human nature trips us up, though. Because so much of our daily misery comes from wishing we could change something but not putting in the work, or wishing we could leave a toxic situation but staying anyway.
We just sit in a state of complaint.
We do. Why is acceptance, which is often the most peaceful option, the hardest path to actually take?
That raises an important question about how our minds operate. The struggle with acceptance comes directly from what Buddhists call the monkey mind.
The monkey mind.
Yeah, that relentless, chattering, anxious voice in our heads, constantly reacting to the expectations drilled into us by society. We are constantly playing multiplayer, zero-sum status games.
Right. We are looking left and right to see how our car, our house, our job title ranks against our neighbors.
Exactly. Acceptance requires stepping out of that arena entirely. It requires playing a single-player game where the only scorecard that matters is your own internal peace.
And the ultimate hack to step out of that arena and achieve acceptance, embracing death.
It sounds incredibly morbid, but philosophically, it is deeply liberating.
It is.
We spend so much energy trying to build a legacy, trying to be remembered, trying to assert our importance. But the reality is the universe has been around for 10 billion years and will be around for 10 billion more.
We're just a blip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
10,000 years from now, no one will remember your name. Think about the Sumerians.
Oh, right.
They invented writing, the wheel, agriculture. They had an advanced civilization, and that today, we cannot name a single regular Sumerian.
Not one.
Remembering our own cosmic insignificance frees us from our petty ego battles. It allows us to just experience our reality, project some love, and find peace in the present moment without needing to be important.
Let's trace the journey we've been on today. We started by utterly rejecting the idea of renting out our time for a paycheck, realizing that building someone else's equity is a trap.
Right.
We learned that true wealth is built by finding our authentic, specific knowledge and magnifying it with massive, permissionless leverage, like code or media.
The robots.
The robots.
Yeah.
We realized that in a world of infinite leverage, having clear, unbiased judgment is infinitely more valuable than just working hard.
Absolutely.
And finally, we confronted the hard truth that all that wealth is useless if I haven't trained ourselves in the distinct daily skill of happiness, prioritizing our physical health and accepting our own insignificance in the universe.
It is a profound shift from seeking external validation to cultivating internal mastery. You conquer the material world so that you can earn the freedom to conquer your own mind.
We talked earlier about how all the huge returns in life, wealth, relationships, knowledge come from compound interest.
Right.
And we talked about the definition of desire as a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. So here is a thought to take with you today. What if the ultimate form of permissionless leverage isn't writing code or recording media or investing capital? What if the greatest leverage you possess is simply the ability to say no to new desires, allowing your internal peace to compound uninterrupted for the rest of your life? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take these mental models, test them out in the real world, and we will catch you next time.